Hello there, and welcome to another great video game ideas not used video. GVGINU for short. As always, I'm Andre. This is a video response to Alpha Omega Sin's video about Metro Last Light and the $5 on disc DLC, the Ranger mode, which is actually a harder mode of the game, which is how they feel like it was intended to be played when they released the game. Now, I'm not against DLC itself as long as it's actually downloadable content that is created separately of the game after it was released. If it's before it was released, yeah, that's a problem. It's definitely a problem. I've never really been a fan of games with day one DLC. That's honestly pointless as bullshit. What's the point of creating the game and working on all these features for the game and things like that, and then taking bits and pieces out of the game and releasing it as DLC even though it's actually on the disc that you own? That is pointless. If you're going to make a game and release it with everything that was made for it up to the point of its release, as long as it's not buggy as fuck. And even then, they patch games to fix shit like that. But still, if you're going to make a game, release it as it is. Don't take pieces apart of it and make them separate to be downloaded. Or don't put out a game complete. Don't put out a game and call it complete if you're going to give DLC on the first day the game is out. It's not complete. It isn't. Whether it's part of a collector's edition or not, it's still not. It's not complete that way. It's different if, say, you make a game and... Sorry, I had a brief moment of breathing trouble there. I was talking a little bit too fast for myself. But it's different when you think about it, like in the case of Elder Scrolls, as Alfred had mentioned. They didn't make the game with they didn't make the DLC for the game before that game was actually released. For Oblivion, and I don't even think they didn't do it for Skyrim either. They made the games, completed them, put all the features that they wanted in the game in it, and put it out for people to play, and then went back after it was made and it became popular and made the downloadable content for the games. And then later on with Oblivion got its Game of the Year edition that had the content along with it. Or if you didn't feel like downloading it, you could also buy the there's Oblivion, and then there was I can't remember what it is. I think it was Shivering Isles. Yeah, that's what it was for Elder Scrolls 4. You could actually purchase a disc and load it into your system, and the DLC would be on in your game, and you wouldn't have to pay to download it. That's the route I went for that game, but that's a separate thing. I mean, it's, to me, I would rather pay, say, $20 for a whole new experience for a game if it actually adds to the game. Not saying it's just another mode so you can play the game in a higher difficulty setting. Or weapon, like if you're going to put all that stuff in the game, put it in the game. Don't separate it. It just agitates people. It's a horrible truth that this happens so often. But I mean, it's got to stop. There's no reason, none whatsoever, that a game should come out and we have to pay for an additional mode that's in the game. That's like saying, okay, here's your game, but I'm going to restrict your usage of it to just being able to play this mode and with these weapons and this character and this gun. Or this, like, it's pointless. There's no reason to that. If the assets are there and are made for the game, they should be released with the game. At its base price. That's how it should be. Now, if downloadable content is made later and you want to make a special edition of the game down the line, that's a different story. That's packaging stuff that was made after the game was released to do a re-release of it. That I'm fine with. But it agitates a lot of people to see that there's content on disc for the game and it's being blocked because they want you to pay extra for that particular thing. I don't like it. I've never liked it, never will like it. It's annoying. It's annoying as hell. But like I said, if it's actually something separate from the game that actually got implemented afterwards, then yeah, I'm fine paying for it. I mean, heck, I would have gladly paid like $50 for the content for Elder Scrolls if I didn't find a cheaper way to get it. But it's either way. But I'm a deal hunter anyhow, so it doesn't matter. But either way, it's annoying to look at how this is done. The original purpose of DLC, if I remember correctly, was to actually enhance the game, not to be picked apart like vultures and shit. I thought the main purpose of DLC was to actually just give you a bigger gaming experience or a completely different experience in the same game. At least that was my understanding. I mean, I could be completely wrong, but that was my general understanding of what it was. And I've never truly liked that whole we're gonna make a bunch of bullshit character costumes for you. Like, I'm not paying for costumes. It's not gonna affect the way the game is played. It's not gonna make it any better. So no, I'm not gonna pay for costumes. But if it's like, say, like in an adventure game, you get a whole new set of missions and new NPC characters to talk to, and just like it adds to the overall experience of the game, then yeah, that's when I'll pay for it. But just for like character add-ons and costumes, shit that actually doesn't change how the game is played, I don't see the point in that DLC ever. You might as well just release that shit as patches and let people have it for free. It would actually make more gamers happy than it would hurt. And that would probably make people buy the whole game more new rather than waiting for it to be used and decide to get it. That's one major reason used games have become super popular. Because people don't want to pay an arm and a leg to get the game and then all of the DLC to it. But it's just horrible business practice. It's one of those things that makes you want to go to the company and kind of just like rip their offices apart, just fuck all their shit up. That's how it makes you feel. It makes you want to go and destroy their shit, because it's like, why did you put this out knowing it's not, like, why did you put this out, it's complete, and then take shit away from the people that you're giving it to? It's annoying as fuck. Like I said, if I see a game out like that, if I see a game that says day one DLC, I'm not buying it. Never. I'm not buying it ever. And if I do buy it, I'm not worried about the DLC, because usually when that shit happens, it's not shit that's really all that important to the game, and it doesn't really affect it much. But it's just like, no, I'm not. It's not happening anymore. It's not going to continue happening. At least not for me. I mean, if there are other people out there, fine, you do that. But I'm not spending that extra money on shit that's pointless like that. If I'm going to buy a game, I'm going to buy the whole game the way it is. If it's not complete when I buy it, it better be that the DLC came after it was made, and then yes, I would buy it. But no, I'm one of those people who's going to look into that shit and see if somebody's found that stuff on the disc, that game information on the disc. And that also brings up the whole thing of incomplete games being rushed. That shit has to stop happening too. Like, that's another reason DLC is what it is. Because games will be rushed, incomplete, and put out there, and then we'll get a whole bunch of shit that was supposed to actually be in the game, but ends up being in it later. That's this is another thing that ticks me the fuck off. But it's just, like I said, if you're making the whole game, put it out the way you want it's supposed to be at first, and then worry about making additional content after that game is released. And if it even is successful, if it's successful and everything, then yes, worry about DLC then. But don't put out a game with DLC and then you haven't even proven if the shit is actually successful. It's just a way to fucking pickpocket the fuck out of the gamers that play the game. Like, yeah, it's a legal way to pickpocket. Yeah, you only get $5 or $6 at a time, but if you do it to enough people, you end up with millions. And that's exactly the way it's going. You gotta do this. You gotta stop this whole DLC bullshit. If the shit is already manifest in the game's code, if it's already in the coding of the game, it's a no-go. It's things like that piss people off. And there's things like that eventually company will fall apart. But it's just, I can't fully describe how agitating it is when you think about it. It's just one of those things that it shouldn't be done, but it's done by damn near everybody. And it's a fucking shame. You can be a gamer and fucking love playing games, but this is the type of shit that makes people not want to play games. Or at least not ones that they have to pay for. So, all these companies out there that want your shit pirated and fucking hacked up and shit, keep doing this stupid bullshit, because that's exactly what you're leading yourselves to. And, like, you don't have to believe me, just believe the communities out there that are dedicated to completely breaking down your games and taking the source code and fucking unlocking everything in it and then releasing it. There are plenty of communities out there for doing that shit. And there's plenty of reason why piracy like that happens. And this is a major fact of it. See, it's not that people don't want to pay for the stuff. It's they don't want to pay for shit that should already be there. But that's just my opinion. Like, take it or leave it. You can think ill of it if you want. I really don't give a shit. It's just, like, I saw that video and I wanted to do this a couple days ago, but it wasn't the appropriate time for it, so that's why I'm doing it now. Anyway, I got that little bit of a rant out of my system. No, it's not really little. It took me nearly 15 minutes to finish it. But, yep, that's pretty much all I'm saying right now. I am done as of this moment with the whole DLC argument until something bigger comes up, I guess. But, yep, thank you. And if you have been checking my channel out, sorry, I'm moving my hands and tilting it at different angles unintentionally. But if you have been checking my channel out, I am doing Resident Evil 1.5, the restoration mod playthrough. I've done 3 parts with Elza so far. So I'm just putting that out there. I've done 3 parts with Elza so far. Then I figured out how to get to other areas, so I'm going to go back and play with her again and record that. But, yeah, I'm pretty much done. Because if I stay on it, I'm just going to get pissed off, and I'm trying not to be. So, thank you for checking out my video. Keep an eye out for more of my stuff. Links in the description so that you can check out the Resident Evil 1.5 playthroughs if you feel like it. And also, I think, nope, that was it. Thank you very much for checking out the video, and hopefully you enjoyed just hearing my spatter of crap that I had to say. But, yep, keep an eye out for my stuff, and until then, enjoy your games.